It's Saturday evening. It's time to talk about the very best comic books in the entire world with our good friend Drew. What's up, buddy?
The temperature today, it's a nice, beautiful day here in Indiana. Beautiful college football Saturday. But let's talk about these beautiful comic books this week.
And we did get some really good comic books. Not quite the week that we had last week, but this is a pretty decent week. But there was one thing that just stood out as terrible, and that was the ending of One World Under Doom. Ryan North clearly was not ready for the big time, a big Marvel line-wide event. This final issue is just Doom sulking and going around and trying to bargain with the gods to bring back Val, because the only person that could actually defeat Doom as the Sorcerer Supreme was Doom himself and a guilty conscience.
You know, Wes, this is yet another event from Marvel that has been nothing more than a wet fart. I mean, think about this. There have been over 10 events from Marvel since 2020, and I would say only one was decent and will be remembered, and that's King in Black back in 2020 and 2021. Why was that decent? We had a legitimate, dangerous threat who had turned the world into literally hell, and their heroes looked defeated from Jump Street. Characters changed and grew. There was one story, and the tie-ins actually followed the event. Oh, and it had a beginning, a middle, and a kick-ass conclusion. But One World Under Doom, this was the definition of anticlimactic. I mean, there was zero character development, a convoluted, stakeless, and disjointed plot across dozens of tone-deaf tie-ins, and an ending that was predictable and uninspired. Oh no, Doom died. Again. Oh, and he has a will? Oh my God. Whoa! I mean, we get to read a will coming up, Wes. Isn't that crazy? Doesn't that get you excited and pumped? And it's written by Ryan North. Now we're talking.
No, I'm not pumped up for it. That's probably the most frustrating thing, is that it's not over.
Yeah.
Because you get this stupid thing after he makes his deal, Val gets to come back, but Doom is going to go away. And we have this just stupid conversation between Reed and Doom that really doesn't mean anything to anybody at this point. And then you get the reveal inside the mask of the Will of Doom. And you don't even get to read the entire thing because you've got to wait till Chip Zdarsky's The Will of Doom, which will be continued on in the Dungeons of Doom. And I cannot believe they're doing anything to add on to the end of this thing that nobody was paying attention to, basically 2 weeks into the entire thing.
We really need to highlight this, Wes. This event, if you want to call it that, exemplifies a troubling trend within Marvel Comics, with repetitive narratives that are devoid of any real depth or stakes. I mean, if we don't call this out, we're only going to get more lame events from Marvel in the future. And when you know it, we're getting that right now with Age of Revolution and an event as exciting as an insurance seminar. I mean, we need creatives who will do the exact opposite of these events. We need the George Costanza opposite approach to this.
Went on for 10 months. We are going to get some more story, I guess, in it. And we are, of course, right in the middle of Age of Revelation, an event so stupid you can't even remember the actual name.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Thankfully, there are actually some good comic books, mostly led by the indies, starting out with Capes #1, Robert Kirkman writing, Mark Englert on art. This is a reprinting or a republishing of the Capes series. They have changed some of the dialogue according to the solicitations, but I've never read Capes, so it was absolutely new to me. I've certainly read a lot of comic books that are trying to accomplish what Capes is, where the superheroes and their actions have become very mundane in this world, part of the bureaucracy of the government. There's red tape and there's rules and regulations, and they even have an office with office politics. This is about, I don't know, 1 billion times better than One Star Squadron or whatever it is that Mark Russell tried to do while copying this. So as just a kind of fun parody on superheroes and how mundane it could be in a world like this, I thought it was pretty enjoyable.
Yeah, you know, like you said, this came out over 20 years ago from Robert Kirkman, and he holds this series close to his heart. But rereading this, you know, it's good. It's okay. I mean, we got a story of superheroes, morality, responsibility, and heroes operating as a business. If this sounds familiar, well, yes, we've seen this, you know, dozens, not hundreds of times in comics, and only a couple have really gotten it right. But there are attempts at humor here. Yeah, I mean, I slightly chuckled and smirked a couple of times, but I see it more as an interesting point in Kirkman's career when he was just getting started, still a little rough around the edges, but a rough around the edges Robert Kirkman is still, you know, leaps and bounds better than most writers today in the industry. It's a recommend, it's a weaker recommend, but yeah, it's worth checking out.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to read 30 issues of it, but if it's 6 issues or something like that, I'll probably be enjoying every one of them. It's pretty fun. Something that's just a little bit better, G.I. Joe number 14, Dreadnought War Part 2, Josh Williamson writing, Tom Riley on art. And we are upping the ante in the stakes as we've got Duke and Cobra Commander literally chained at the wrist together on the run from the Dreadnoughts while Destro is making an enormous power play behind the scenes. Nobody, and I mean nobody at Cobra or within the G.I. Joe organization, realize just how much danger they are in. We get some amazing action here. Tom Riley and Jordi Belair make this book look like $1 million. And the arrival, the first appearance of one of the greatest G.I. Joe action figures of all times, happens at the end. My pick of the week.
This is my pick of the week as well, and it wasn't even close. I mean, from Jump Street in this issue, I'm laughing with what Destro is doing. And what's he doing? You got to read to find out. And from there, it's full-on Mad Max Fury Road with Duke and Cobra Commander who have to trust each other if they want to survive against the Dreadnoughts. And at the end of this, I mean, it looks like we have a guest star from someone straight out of Rook Exodus. I loved it. I mean, this was an absolute blast. The pacing, the dialogue, the action, comedy, the art, all top-notch right here. I can't recommend this issue or this series enough. Strongest recommends, my pick of the week, and in the running for series of the year.
We just got the reveal that we're going to get Transformers and G.I. Joe crossing over in the series in the early parts of 2026. Very exciting stuff. Also going to recommend The Sacrificers number 17, Rick Remender writing, Max Fumara on art. This series isn't quite coming out monthly anymore, but they have been building up the world of Harlows and the battle or the hubris of the gods and the plight of the little people. So Luna has been out there with those people, but now she has returned to the court of her father and the other gods within the universe, and it's time to start drinking that beautiful elixir again. This is an enormous issue. I did not quite see this one coming. Enormous changes happening in the world of Sacrificers.
Yeah, holy shnikes, this issue. Yeah, we think it's all going one way, but it goes another. And I had fun reading this. It's hard to discuss this comic without spoiling it, but I'll just say this. Hooks hold things together, but hooks also make tears. This is a strong recommend and my second pick for book of the week.
Rick Remender is definitely one of the hotter writers in all of comic books, led by the Sacrificers. We're also going to recommend Space Ghost Volume 2, number 5, David Pepos writing, Jonathan Lau on art, the conclusion of the Space Sharks versus the Crystalline Empire. We've got Jace imprisoned by the Space Sharks, interrogated, trying to find out why he was trying to destroy the peace process. Of course, we know that there was actually a sniper. Jane is also aware of that. She's tracking people down. Kind of funny seeing Jane play the role of Heavy, I guess, within the Space Ghost organization, going around there, slamming heads around, trying to find out and get to the bottom of who the sniper is, while Space Ghost himself is just going out there trying to buy them time. If you're looking for straight fun, it's this or G.I. Joe for me.
I'll say there's going to be one we're going to talk about a little later that I'll say that was fun as well. But this one, yeah, I like this issue. I didn't love it. I felt the pacing issues in this issue as well. I felt like this could have been the story could have been told over one issue, not two. I felt like there was a lot of stretching around the middle, and I found myself saying, "Okay, let's get on with it." Does that make it bad? No, absolutely not. I mean, it's like comparing an A paper to a B+ paper. This was a B+. The art, dialogue, all top notch still, and I really love the cliffhanger. I can't wait for the next issue. It's a we could recommend this week, but it's still a recommend.
Still one of the better series in all of comic books. Final recommendation from the indies, Spawn the Dark Ages number 1. Liam Sharp writing and illustrating. And I'm conflicted with this one, Drew. He goes back to his original art style, which is superb. Specifically this week, it's probably the best looking one. It is a gorgeous book. And it certainly has some of the feels that you get with the Brave and the Bold story that he did several years ago. Even Starhenge, where the story is very dense. It's kind of hard to follow. But there's so much old English and there's so much time jumping that I really couldn't make heads or tails of the actual story while I was admiring the art so much.
Hands down, this is the most beautiful comic this week and probably will be one of the most beautiful comics by the end of the year. Liam Sharp his art here is god tier, and I hope we see more of this than his art style we got from Batman and Reptilian. You can spend hours just getting lost in the details in each panel, from the lines on a character's face to all the bark on a tree. And like you said, the story and the dialect, it's not easy to follow, and it's at times the dialogue is very bland. I mean, I respect the fact he's using old words and terminology, but it doesn't make for a fun reading experience. It feels like work. and you don't want to have that experience when you're reading a comic book. I mean, thankfully, there's a glossary in the back if you're lost. However, it was well paced, and it has a very interesting setup and a cliffhanger that has me wanting to come back for more. So it's not a strong recommend, but on the weaker end. But like I said, the art here is god tier.
Fantastic to see Liam Sharp go back to that original comic style rather than that digital painting style, which he's very, very good at, but doesn't look quite as good as this style, in my opinion.
Same.
Back in the day, we would almost assuredly be talking about a Marvel book to recommend, but something that's become very commonplace here at the end of 2025, no Marvel book to recommend this month or this week.
No, they got no one to blame but themselves. And I mean, we were talking about X-Men Age of Revelations is terrible. The only one that would have come close was that X-Men Age of Apocalypse tie-in, but it was okay at best.
Yeah. So let's go over to DC. We got one book. I've already reviewed it in full here on the channel. Batman Deadpool #1, Grant Morrison writing, Dan Mora on art. You are correct. This is the other really, really fun book. Dan Mora goes absolutely ham with this story. There are so many weird Easter eggs and little things that are put into this story that you won't even recognize or realize that are there the first time you read it. A lot of meta commentary, but I think Grant Morrison pulls it off in very fine form here. And this is the crossover that I was hoping we would get when they announced this. The first major DC Marvel crossovers in over 20 years.
Bullseye, Wes. When this issue came out this week, I did not want to read this, and I saved it for last. I mean, this was due to the diaper stain that was Deadpool Batman that came out back in October. However, imagine my shock. I thoroughly enjoyed this story by Grant Morrison and Dan Mora from Jump Street. I am laughing, and I am all in on the story. Like you said, the gods make a sweet love. Yeah, I'm laughing. I love it perfectly. That makes sense. Look, it's perfectly clear Grant Morrison is having fun here. Why? Because he's getting wild and creative with this story, from the visuals to the villains to the meta commentary to a certain guest appearance from an amalgam universe character. I'm not going to say who. You got to read to find out. It is all fun. Oh, and the best part, Deadpool is actually funny. His dialogue is actually funny, and I'm laughing. This story gave me exactly what I wanted. These two characters getting wild and crazy in a funny, wild, and insane story. Zeb Wells and Greg Capullo failed at their story, but Grant Morrison and Dan Mora succeeded. This is a recommend, and I hope everyone checks this story out.
And for me, it's a recommend almost solely on the main story. The Constantine Doctor Strange is fine, but the rest of it, not really anything to write home about.
Yeah, I agree. The price of admission for the Batman Deadpool story is worth it.
We've got some more Unholy Nightmare coming up. What's this cover all about?
This is the fully colored cover for Unholy Nightmare #3, penciled by Andre Lunatic, inked and colored by Shelby Robertson. We got the Golem fighting a dinosaur that's been reanimated. How does that happen? Well, you got to read Unholy Nightmare #3, which comes out next year. This cover will be a foil.
Very, very cool. And if you like this kind of presentation, but you want more of it, I do want to remind you that the Hot or Not podcast comes out every single Thursday on Think Critical Patreon and channel memberships. Jim and I get together and we talk about all the major releases from Marvel, DC, and independent comic books. Hope to see you there very, very soon.